Welcome, everyone, to the 2023 British Grand Prix post-race Chinwag roll intro. Wow. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for taking the time. Thank you for joining me on the Tommo YouTube channel. It's quite a race yesterday, wasn't it? Quite a race, especially from a British bias point of view, which this channel is all about the British bias, okay? This is 100% British bias, as are many of you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Hello, Batu, Christopher, Hannah, Biko, David, Yozo, Ruben, Angus, April, Thoppy, Jamie, AL, Cone, Bailey, Bruce, Halita, David, Tim, Professor, Winnie, TikTok, Ewan, Liam, Christian, Bruno, Campbell, Yo-Yo, Marek, Ian, Leon, Raquel, Campbell, or I should say Rahel? Rahel? It's not pronounced Raquel, is it? Of course it's not. Anthony, Dylan, Daniel, we've been watching too much Only Fools and Horses, Sam, Ethan, Dan, Ben, Gian, HTFC, Edward, Andy, George, GT, Ollie, Ruben, not Oscar, Devon, Michael, A, Jeremy, Morris. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, everyone who's here live. Thank you to everyone who's watching on YouTube after the fact, if you couldn't take it in live. And welcome to everyone who's audio only and only in your ears. That's all good. You're not seeing my pastel coordination today. Got my pastel green jumper and my nice Carhartt and a pastel purple hat. I love a pastel. I do. Truly. Wow. British Grand Prix. Let's get into it. Let's talk all about it, shall we? Again, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Don't forget, audio only is available. I will upload this, and I remembered this time to start recording in OBS before I went live. I remember about 50% of the time, so that means I can just do it straight away as soon as the stream's finished. Brilliant, happy days, lovely jubbly. Right. So let's get to it. And also, oh yes, Max, that is a very good shout as well. Who won the stream deck indeed? Because on Friday I was at Silverstone and I did a live stream. I don't know if some of you might have caught it. Didn't get massive viewership, but it was a different kind of live stream. POV live stream, walking around Silverstone with F1 Manager, giving away caps, giving away, caps, and I don't know why I said that twice. Trying to give away caps and people were ignoring me, and then other people weren't ignoring me, and it was really fun. I enjoyed myself. And also, I do have a stream deck to get away, and I do need to go through that actually. That's what I'll do straight after this stream, because I need to pick a winner of the stream deck. I've got a bunch of comments, so I will go through. Don't you worry. I'm going to do that. That is going to be my first thing I do after this stream, is select a winner for which actually, because I haven't actually set mine up yet, but my stream deck's here. So one of these bad boys. I do need to, that would make these streams so much easier I just need to do it. I just haven't had time. Because as you can imagine, and I like to think you've seen from the output on the channel in the last kind of, of Austria, with Lando and Oscar, with all that, it's been hella busy, but I will get to it. Don't you worry. Right, happy days. Let's talk about the British Grand Prix, and let's start first of all with your race rating out of 10. Please let me know. Why am I apologising for the thumbnail, David? The thumbnail's perfect. There's nothing wrong with the thumbnail. It did say pre-race and I changed it to post-race, but now it says post-race, so that's fine. Right, what are we giving here out of 10? Seeing some 8s, some 7s, a few 6s, a few 9s. Okay, it's a good range. Okay, let's get the poll going now. So let's do race rating out of 10. 4 options, so it's going to be a 6 or lower, a 7, an 8, or a 9 or higher. Let me know in the poll. Only 4 options. Again, YouTube, sort it out. Please give me more options. Please give me more options on my polls, okay? Because I love a poll. Safety car saved the race from being a bore like last year. You know what? As much as it was from the British point of view, Lando and Lewis both on the podium, is one of them that objectively, was it the greatest race of all time? No, there were some really exciting moments in it for sure. And I think, Lando overtaking Max for the lead, that happening at the British Grand Prix specifically is more vibes because it's Lando's home race. You know what I mean? So it does make, in the same way that if Max overtook for the win at Zandvoort, it would feel different to if he overtook for the win at, say, Brazil, for example. But McLaren certainly did make it better, right? What are you saying poll-wise? So we got 8% of you 6 or lower, 36% of you 7, 44% of you an 8, and 13% of you have given it a 9 or higher. For me, it's an 8 out of 10. For me, it was an 8 out of 10 race. I gave Austria an 8 out of 10 as well. That delivered really good racing throughout the field. You didn't really have that scrap at the front. This one, there was less racing throughout the field, but you did have Lando making the move at the start. You had the fact that it's a McLaren up the front as well, in the hands of Lando and Oscar. I think that plays into the story. Again, the ratings, it's the story that we're rating out of 10, isn't it? It's the story. And it does make a difference when it's a team that's coming from the back, in terms of, Aston Martin at the start of the season, when they rocketed up to the top. That was more of a story because it was Aston Martin. Because it was Aston Martin specifically getting on the podium, that made it more interesting, intriguing and exciting. The fact that it's a McLaren that seems to have taken the jump up with this big upgrade. Super impressive. Super impressive. And a really enjoyable race. I had a good time. I had a good time watching it. 8 out of 10. For me, it was a very good race. It will live in the memory. Again, I think an 8 out of 10 has to be somewhat kind of memorable and will live long somewhat in the memory. You look at the Austrian Grand Prix weekend as well, like that was decent. So I was a happy boy watching yesterday. I was a happy boy on the Last Lap live stream. Remember to subscribe to the Last Lap, link below. Very good with Cam and Shez and Niran as per. 8 out of 10. I think that's fair. 44% of you agree. 36% of you think 7. To be fair, yeah, I think I don't do points on this for mine. So I think a 7.5 is what you're averaging out at, and I would probably, I'd say it's definitely no more than an 8. I think it's somewhere 7.5 to 8. It's around that kind of that kind of area. It's race, not story rating. Yes, but the race is a story. It's a story. It's playing out, Lewis chasing Lando was amazing. It was a good little chase, a good little scrap towards the end. And this is how things finished, with Max Verstappen taking the win. Fair. Certainly wasn't a dominant performance by Max, which is ultimately, right? I don't mind Max winning, right? I don't mind anyone winning. If they win by like 20 seconds, then I'm like, oh. If they're winning by a much smaller margin, now obviously the safety car played into that, maybe it would have been 10, 15 second gap by the end of the race if there was no safety car. But even though Max won, cool, fine. Like, it was a really good race, so I can take that, Gasly was technically classified, by the way. That's why he's not got an X next to his name. So Max wins, fastest lap as well, 26 points in the bag. Lando Norris P2, 18 points. Huge for himself, huge for McLaren. Lewis Hamilton P3 gets a podium again this season. And Oscar Piastri, got to say, without that safety car, Piastri P3 is very much on. They were looking pretty comfortable. They had a good, it was a good 5-second gap. When Russell got past Leclerc, I remember that gap being at about 5 seconds between Oscar and George for a good chunk of laps. But this was Piastri boy to man. This was like, I think it was always difficult to get a measure on Oscar up until this point. I think the qualifying delta was promising, closer to Lando. Without the upgrades in Austria, he had a bit of a stinker. But with the upgrade, and also not even the full upgrade, right? Lando had the new front wing this weekend. Oscar did not. So bear that in mind. About 1.5 off of Lando in qualifying, enough to leapfrog the Mercedes and the Ferraris and Fernando. And then in the race, we think Lando had a good start. Mate, Oscar's start was arguably even better. And he kind of just got boxed in, didn't he, a little bit? Oscar, man. Serious driver. Alpine right now. The one that got away. Otmar. Laurent. Not good. Not good at all. But there you go. Russell P5. Checo made his way up to P6 in the end, which, as a recovery drive goes from P15 to P6, I mean, it's a lot of positions gained. Would Max have got onto the podium if he'd started P15 around Silverstone? You got to think so. From his track record, you got to think so. Fernando Alonso P7, difficult weekend for Aston Martin. They've had a couple of little... That early season momentum seems to have curtailed somewhat, and I don't know if it's the track dependency or whether it's the other teams upgrading around them and they're just a bit still. Again, they had 100% ATR for the first half of this year, which won't pay dividends until those upgrades come maybe like later on this season, right? It's tricky one for Aston Martin. Alex Albon, P8, sorry, made that move on Carlos Sainz when Checo opened the door for him to come through. Oh, well, you watched it on the last lap. I was having a great time, a fantastic time. Oh man, I'm so chuffed for Alex. I'm genuinely. Oliver, thank you for the 249, mate. Joe made a wise decision not driving on the Halo. Well, I don't think it was a choice last time, Oliver. I don't think it was a choice. I mean, he P15 in the end for Joe Guanyu, so nil point on the board. Unfortunately, intimidating Carlos again. Carlos was always Ferrari's 9 and 10. Like it's one of them. They were that they pitted early. And then the safety car just, the safety car massively hindered the Ferraris and massively helped Lewis. Lewis was the big winner, wasn't he, from the safety cars? Because he was at P9 at one stage. And also, a quick word for Logan Sargent. P11 in the end with that Stroll penalty. Man, Logan, Vowles was telling him after, he was lapping within about a tenth of Alex for most of the race. He's going to be okay. I'm confident Logan's going to be okay. I think I agree. I think he had a really good race. I think that, by the end of this season, going into next year, I think he'll be in a good place. I do. I'm feeling confident about Logan. I truly am. I don't know why they didn't split the strat. Yeah, Vicky, I hear that. I think, they went for a bit of a gamble and it didn't pay off ultimately. Bottas 12, Hulkenberg 13, Stroll 14, Joe 15, Tsunoda De Vries 16, 17, Gasly P18 technically classified even though he had a broken rear right because of Lance, and we'll get into that. And then Magnussen, car caught fire, Ocon had some kind of system issue and had to pull in because the team were like, the car's going to break, so just come in now. Right, cool, lovely jubbly. Hated when Lewis said we worked our way up to P3. Well, the thing, look, obviously, Lewis did get fortunate with the timing of the safety car, of course, and that's racing, you know what I mean? Like, it happens. Like, you can get fortunate, you can get unfortunate. Oscar got unfortunate, Lewis got fortunate. That's racing. You take the opportunities that are presented to you. There you go. Thank you, Cameron, as well, for the 299 Aussie. Piastri deserves that podium. And WNS over BNC. What does that mean, Cameron? Don't give me another super chat. Just tell me in the comment. What does that mean? WNS. What is that? Are these like AFL analogies? Acronyms. WNS. I don't know what that means. But thank you for the super chat. And thank you, Marek, as well. Being a Ferrari fan is like staying in a dead marriage. You're crying a lot. You remember the good old days and staying only for the kids. Wow. Damn, that cuts deep, Marek. That cuts deep, man. And look, I feel like, we had a few radios from Charles and Carlos over this weekend. It doesn't feel like a particularly happy place, does it? Oh, welders and stinkers, bangers and clangers. Of course it is. So you're saying welders and stinkers over bangers and clangers. Look, Cameron, I'm sorry. I put it to a democratic vote and bangers and clangers came out on top. So you know what, we're rolling with it, all right? I need to stop fiddling around and changing things. I need to just stick with something. But there you go. We should have... No, it doesn't work. It's not... No. Scotland didn't get a revote when they voted for independence, right? And you're not getting a revote for welders and stinkers over bangers and clangers. So accept it. Accept it. Are the McLaren second quickest? I mean, they were this weekend. This is the thing, right? Different tracks. We go to Hungary next race, and that is a totally different challenge compared to Silverstone. Different demands on the car. What does give me confidence about McLaren is that Austria was very different to Silverstone, and Lando was, I think third quickest in terms of car pace was the McLaren in Austria with Lando. So that certainly does bode well, because again, Austria is more slow speed and straight lines, where more traction dependent than Silverstone, which is a lot of high speed stuff, which they were clearly very quick on as well. Scotland will get a second vote. I mean, give the Scots freedom if they want it. Happy days. We should all apologise to Mika. Mika was cooking. He was cooking. He was. So that's how the race finished. That leaves the driver standings after 10 of 22. I know there's technically been 11 rounds. I've changed this now. We've actually had 10 rounds, and we're actually going to have 22. Obviously, Imola was cancelled, so I've just so you know, I've changed the graphics ever so slightly. Verstappen, 255, 99 points now ahead of Checo Perez. 99. Wow. Fernando Alonso, 137. Lewis Hamilton, 121. Carlos Sainz, 83. George Russell, 82. So Russell's just within a point of Sainz now. It's not looking great for Ferrari. Unsurprisingly, shock there. Stroll, 44. Norris only 2 points. 2 points. 2 points behind Lance, man. 2 points. Mad. Ocon, 31. Piastri up to 17 points now. I think it was P15 in the standings before. This is now P11. 1 point ahead of Pierre Gasly as well. Albon, P13, consolidates that position. That strong position for Alex Albon. We take those. Stroll only one in the top 10 to not have a podium. Ocon's not had a podium this year, is he? Is he? No, he hasn't, has he? Albon just behind Gasly. Oh yeah, Monaco, of course he has. Sorry, Esteban. Sorry, I did forget. I forgot SD Bestie. Sainz hasn't. Yeah, true, Sainz hasn't, has he? True. Monaco, you donut. Yeah, I accept the donut. I'll accept the donut there. Hulkenberg, 9 points, no gains otherwise. I think Sargent moved back ahead of De Vries. He might have already been ahead with De Vries, but Sainz did have a podium. P11, so that puts him highest finishing position ahead of De Vries. Lovely jubbly. Albon single-handedly outscored the entire Ferrari enterprise. That's my goat. Right, okay, cool. So they're the driver standings as they stand. And then constructor standings actually changed up a little bit as well. And thank you, Adam, for the £2. Saw you've been karting. Fancy driving my KZ2. Mate, I would shunt that thing immediately. So, you better have some good insurance, Adam. Because that car's not coming out in one piece if I've got my way with it. Because I've got no sense of self-preservation. And I will just... Yeah, I like how Max drives, He's 100% straight away. That's me. 100%. 100% of my ability, which is into the wall immediately. There you go. Now, you misplaced that faith, Adam. You misplaced that faith, buddy. Right. Constructor standings. Red Bull extend their lead at the front to almost 200 points. 199 points. Red Bull ahead of Mercedes. But that Mercedes-Aston battle is still a little bit close. Come on, Lance. Help the team out, man. But it's all changed in the middle. So McLaren jump Alpine. Williams move up to P7. Williams played a blinder here, right? Because they waited for the ATR to reset where they were P9. And now they're P7. ATR's reset and they've still got 110% ATR time. If they'd have been P7 like a race before... maybe 2 races before, I think, they would have got 100%. They would have got 10% less. Why are these wrong? What do you mean these are wrong? Are they? I got these from the F1 website. What do you mean? Hang on a second. Hang on a second. These shouldn't be wrong. Oh, wait. Wait, what? Well, you're all saying they're wrong, so they must be wrong. When you've got 100 people, then it's wrong. Oh, yeah, it is wrong. What? Okay, it's wrong. Don't mind me. It's funny, it's like you all said it's wrong, and I'm like, nah, it's not wrong. Nah, you're all of you are wrong. Every single one of you collectively together in the live chat shouting that it's wrong. You're all wrong, actually. It's not wrong. Let me just how did I I mean, look, it's customary, isn't it? It's customary for me to make a mistake. I forgot to add more points. On it, like you'd think this is my job, wouldn't you? Jesus Christ, honestly. Look, I mean, it's just I'm true to my midness, okay, my mid self, always and forever. Now, you know, I updated the order, but I forgot to update the points. That's what happened here. That is what happened here. I update the order, but I forgot to update the points because I am a silly boy. I am a very silly boy. Okay, there we go. New updated constructors table standings are now here. Red Bull Racing actually have a 208-point lead at the front. Well done, Red Bull. Well done. Grazie ragazzi. Aston Martin are now comfortably behind Mercedes. Oh, yeah, you didn't see nothing. You didn't see nothing, all right? Don't even pretend. You're all trying to gaslight me to thinking I made a mistake. What's wrong with you lot? McLaren jump ahead of Alpine by 12 points. Williams, again, they do move up to P7 ahead of Haas, even though they're on the same number of points. There you go. I think I'm becoming an Albon fan the last few races, Luca. What do you mean? Why have you not always been an Albon fan? What are you playing at, Luca? Goodness. Lifetime penalty, yeah. 10-second penalty for me for failing to be good at Photoshop. Aston Martin's going to finish 5th. Look, I mean, my pre-season predictions, I put Aston Martin, I think, about 5th or 6th. And obviously, I was very concerned about that as the season started. But now, you know, they seem to be falling down a bit. They need upgrades. Upgrades need to come. For sure. Right, okay, so let's now talk about bangers and clangers, shall we? Who's had a banger? Who's had a bit of a clanger? Well, starting with mine, Bosch. I've given my banger drive to Oscar Piastri. Yes, Lando drove a pretty faultless race, out-qualified Oscar a 10th and a half. When you add the context of Oscar being a rookie and not having the full upgrade either, Lando had the new front wing. For Oscar to be as close as he was, to run as close as he was to Lando at the start as well, we were almost talking about like, oh, is Lando holding up Oscar a bit maybe? I don't know if Oscar has more pace in hand because they were very close at one stage. And completely out of his control, you know, that safety car coming out when it did. I've got to give it to Oscar, man. The rookie delivered in his, 10th race in Formula 1. Incredible stuff. Oscar Piastri. Banger. Clanger was Lance, I'm afraid, because, I mean, you get out qualified by your teammate, fine, not good. You go out in Q2 in Aston Martin, not good. What he did to Pierre Gasly was Maldonado 2012 against Lewis Hamilton in Valencia-esque. Off track and just yeets into the side of him, breaks Pierre's car and just carries on. Lance Stroll, you are the clanger of the weekend because that was an absolute stinker. That was terrible. Awful. You cannot be doing that, Lance. Bad times. Not good. That immediately, 5 seconds for that is a joke as well. I agree. I think that should have been at least 10, maybe even a drive-through. I think drive-through, I wouldn't have been surprised if that was a drive-through. I was surprised it was only 5 seconds. It was, Big L for Lance. That is a shot. I mean, there's maybe other drivers who had worse races in terms of pace. I mean, you know, the AlphaTauri drivers were just nowhere. Bottas made up really good positions. He had a good drive, but Joe didn't really go anywhere. But if you do that, man, you're getting a clanger. It's happening. It's happening. Sorry, Lance, but you got to take those L's when they come your way. McLaren banger team. It's the easiest banger team we've ever had. And that does reflect in your votes as well. Clanger team Ferrari. You know what? I think, yes, they were unlucky with the timing of the safety car, but this is like, in terms of managing their drivers, in terms of, you know, Russell was all over the back of Leclerc. Just the strategy was, you know, to put Leclerc on mediums and then pull him in before even Russell did on the softs. Like, Ferrari had their degree of culpability on this, and it's just not good. Clanger Alpine, double DNF. Yes, I know, obviously, Ocon's car blew up. Obviously, Haas with Magnussen, their car blew up as well. Gasly was running okay. He might have got in the points, I think, Pierre, maybe. I think he was looking all right, potentially, for points. It would have been a bit of a long shot. I can't remember, actually, what position he was in. Oh, thank you, the Senate, by the way, for the 50 yen. Okay, if Russell didn't win Brazil 22, Red Bull Racing would have won every single race since France in July 22. Crazy, man. And even that was like, Red Bull just kind of had a bit of a bad day, didn't they? Like, with the car setup. P11 before contact. Yeah, so he was on the cusp of the points. So potentially could have gotten the points, considering how obviously Sainz's pace and Leclerc's pace, particularly Sainz's pace, was dropped like a stone. So yeah, I can't put too much on. Yeah, it's a shame for Ocon. I mean, Alpine is a bit of an L. You know, considering Aston Martin's jump up and now McLaren's jump up and Alpine is still in their midness, that's the L. You know, here, but there you go. Right, cool. They're mine. Yours are as follows: 4,695 votes as well. Loads of votes. So thank you for voting. I did put the poll live last night, so a lot of you in the NA and rest of the world outside of Europe territories would have voted in this. I appreciate it. Alpine, Alpine. That's good. El ban, because ban is like bread, isn't it, in French? El ban. 59% of you voted Lando Norris for banger drive. No surprises there. 31% Oscar Piastri. 4% Alex Albon. Thank you. 2% Max Verstappen. 2% Max Verstappen, and he put it on pole and won the race. So he did have a bad start, to be fair, Max. He had a poor start, which let Lando through and made it a little bit more tricky. And at the end on the softs as well, he didn't seem too happy. I mean, it's always... When Max will complain like he's driving on ice, and then he'll set fastest lap, because he's just that good. Lance Stroll got 48% of the vote for Clanger, so he wins that as well. Checo 12%. It's another qualifying mess. De Vries 11%. I mean, he was half a second off Yuki in qualifying. Yuki did also get knocked out, and then in the race, just Sainz. Difficult. Yeah, not a good race for Carlos. I think it was. How much is on him? How much is in Ferrari? Ferrari, man. Ferrari, please, just stop. Just start again. Just liquidate the team and just rehire. Just start again. Because it's just not good enough. Shani, thank you for this 5 CHF. What would be the breaking point for Aston to replace Lance if they were actually in title contention? Look, again, I retain that, like, if Fernando was in title contention in the Aston Martin, the only way that Stroll's performances hurts him is that if Stroll can't be there to back him up, which could, be an issue if Stroll's not close enough to back Fernando up. However, you know, if you choose between a driver's title with Alonso and a constructor's title for Aston Martin, they're taking the driver's title every single day of the week. Like, that is the number one priority. And I think having that clear 1-2 and a driver who isn't gonna take points off of Fernando as a teammate, I think it's difficult. There's pros and cons to both, right? But he's not leaving. His dad owns the team. He's not leaving. It's not happening. Right. And then Clanger team. Oh no, sorry, I've skipped. A banger team, 95% McLaren, 2% Ferrari, 2% Williams. Don't know why 2% if you gave it to Ferrari. Banter votes. And then clanger team, 32% Alpine. Again, fair. Ocon blew up. And seeing McLaren jump up and them not is another knife to the abdomen, right? Aston already plunged one in by jumping up this season, and now McLaren is going to have some of that. And also, obviously, Oscar doing so well as that. That's an L for Alpine management. Because we always thought Oscar had it in him, but he really showed it this weekend that he's the real deal. 27% Ferrari, 27% Haas, 7% AlphaTauri. So a little mixture. Sonny Hayes, banger drive, quietly good race, yeah. The imagery was pretty cool with those two. Pierce and Hayes walking with the other drivers as well. Carlos Sainz getting in there. We're getting the movie shots in. It's quite cool that the real drivers will be in this movie, like featured in this movie. It'd be really interesting to see how they build like the race outcomes into it. I'm excited for that. I'm very excited for that. Right, cool. Okay, that's all the overlays complete and done. Lovely jubbly. Shall we go now team by team? I think we should, shouldn't we? We've been recording for 30 minutes. Now, let's talk about all the teams, and let's start with McLaren. Papaya. Oh, wow. McLaren. It looked good in Austria. It looked incredible in Silverstone. My goodness. Absolute missile in a straight line. Slow speed is their difficulty. High speed. You could see when Lewis was chasing down Lando towards the end. You could see where Lewis was gaining and losing. He was gaining in the slow speed, which was potentially giving him runs. But then in the high speed, like in Beckett's, like Lando was gapping him enough to then buy him some time. And Lando was saying, he ran a bit less wing than Oscar this weekend, and he feels like that straight line speed kind of saved him. Because when you've got that little bit more straight line speed, it's easier to defend versus having a bit more performance in the corners. Mercedes, and another Mercedes powered team has somewhat leapfrogged them. I mean, look, Mercedes have caught up to Aston Martin, I would say, and in this race they were slower than the McLarens, but man, it's mad. It's mad, isn't it, how Mercedes have this advantage, this baked-in advantage of being the engine manufacturer, so they know exactly, they can design it to an exact specification that works for their chassis. Yet they're not cashing in that advantage, They're not giving George and Lewis the car that they should be able to give them with the advantage that they have. It's pretty mad. And actually, this is of a very early season McLaren. You can see how the car's changed quite a bit since then. But yeah, pretty crazy. And look, part of me likes to think that maybe, just maybe, I had something to do with this. Because in case you've been living under a rock, on Monday, and I uploaded it Friday, I had a little chat with Lando and Oscar, didn't I? On what we're talking about.
Absolutely not, mate.
Good.
No.
Good. Because you would have said no.
We're more the freestyle type.
So, this happened. Partnership with Google to celebrate the special edition Chrome McLaren that's running at this weekend's British Grand Prix. I was invited down for 10 minutes with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Now, to keep things in line with the livery design or what if blank joined F1 theme of this channel, I wanted to bring their ideas to life. If Lando and Oscar could boss their own Formula 1 teams from the ground up, how would they look? Team name, team principal, livery, driver line? Okay. Enough of that. Enough of the self-promo, the plug. If you haven't watched the video, please do. Mad that I got to speak with them two on Monday. I got like 10 minutes with them. And yeah, I'm happy with the video, how it came out. It kind of went as well as better than I was hoping, to be honest. Skip ad. They were good. They were good vibes. They were good energy. And obviously I've done like some quadrant bits with Lando before. And obviously he knows, like, I think obviously through like Niran and that, like last lap stuff that we do. So yeah, it was would it though? It was a good line, Chris. Yeah, it was funny as well, right? So obviously in that video, I had to cut. I didn't have to actually cut much out. There was a few things. Obviously, I had to send it to McLaren before putting it live, and that to approve it, which is of course like completely fair. But there was one really good line that we cut out. Basically, Oscar. I'm paraphrasing, right? Oscar was like, we were talking about the papaya on the McLaren, right, and the McLaren how it looks as it is, and Oscar said something along the lines of like, "Oh, actually, from behind, our car looks quite like the Red Bull." So I'm guessing Oscar's talking like when he's behind Lando and when he's behind Checo or Max, the cars look quite similar from the rear. And then Lando was like, "Yeah, but we're not as quick as them." Well, Lando, maybe you shouldn't have cut that bit out. Well, Lando, you're wrong. Because both me and Oscar were both like, well, not yet, not yet, not yet. And maybe we were wrong. Turns out they were. I mean, obviously, Max. You know what? Like, it wouldn't. Yeah. Do I think Max is the quicker driver versus him and Lando? Yes, I do. And I do think the car made a difference in terms of that pace, right, between Lando and Max for sure, of course. But also, like, Lando's right up there. Like, I think any assertions, because you see a little bit, of course. Right? I think in part because he's so popular. I think some people just like to go against that. You can't now. There's no sitting around and being like, oh, Lando's overrated. No, he's not overrated, bruv. He's quality. Lando's unreal, man. And you say diamond in the rough. Like, why rough? What's rough about the diamond, man? The diamond's pretty shiny to me. Like I'm seeing my mirror image in that diamond right now. Because what more can he do? You know what I mean? So I think yeah, no. Oh yeah, do you remember that video Oscar did, Alita, when he was at Prema with the trophies? It's so good, so good. Mate, biggest McLaren fan ever. Wow, and they all called Mika Hakkinen a madman. Yeah, well, that's it. That's it. That's it. They did call him a madman, but why have I gone back to overlays? I need to go to all teams because we're talking about McLaren. Yeah, no, mad, impressive job by the two of them. Can they maintain this now? I think I'm going to poll you lot. Have McLaren turned the chasing 3 into a chasing 4? So again, the chasing 3 would be Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston Martin. Have McLaren now made that a 4? Do we think off of what we've seen in Austria, and because again, like Mercedes had a really good Spain, but then it's not all been roses since then. You know what I mean? So like, I think what we've seen in Austria, car performance wise, third quickest car. Silverstone seemed to be second quickest car, and there's still another upgrade to come in Hungary as well. By the way, do we think we can officially consider them to be now in this top 4 that's behind the Red Bull? You know, I mean, it's too early to tell for sure, of course, but it's looking good. And this is the thing, right? You know, Red Bull have done a fantastic job in harmony with Max being an incredible F1 driver. But you can't tell me that this season it's not competitive for P1, no. But it's competitive everywhere else. And that isn't that common. Like, you look in the history of the sport, every team's got to Q3 at least once. You know, every team's got points and had points within the first, 4 races or something? Like, yes, there's always going to be gaps and there's always going to be, but I'm not interested in F1 that's a spec series and everyone's got exactly the same performance. If there is a top 3 teams and then there's like a 4 and then another 4, like, I'm cool with that. You know, you don't just want one at the front. You don't just want one on their own. You don't just want one team in the middle on their own either. You wouldn't want like if you had like a top 4 teams, a bottom 5 teams, and then one team right in the middle. That team right in the middle is going to be pretty boring to watch because, well, they can't fight at the front, they can't, but they're clear of the back. So, you know, I mean, do I want 11 teams? I want 12 teams. 11. I want 12 teams. That's what I want. 24, 12 teams. I know Total Wolf was quoted saying like, oh, it's a safety issue having more than 10 teams, which I think's nonsense. But there you go. Give the people what they want. I guarantee, right? Hang on. We'll do another poll. Have McLaren turn the chasing 3 into a chasing 4? 76% of you say yes. Mad. I'm doing another poll. How many teams do you want? And I'm only giving you 3 options because there's only 3 realistic. Like, what's the ideal number for you? Because for me, surely it's 12. 24, nice round number. Divides nicely into itself, 12 teams with 15 drivers get points. I think if they had 12 teams, I do, think they would have to change the points scoring system a bit, to be fair. I think to have 24 drivers, but only the top 10 get points, I think it would... Because ultimately, the points are designed to, reflect your performance. And, to get the same amount of points for P11 as P24 is a bit mad. So I think, maybe the top 12 get points. It's slapped down the middle again. That would work. That would work for me. 71% of you think 12, 18% 11, and 11% of you think 10. So there's, that's not an 30% of you basically don't think 12, which is actually higher than I thought it'd be. So fair enough. But we're not all going to agree. There's pros and cons, of course there are. But regardless, McLaren, McCookin, well in. Well done, Andrea Stella. Well done, McLaren. It's looking good. It's looking decent. Can they continue it? We will see. But surely they have the drivers. Right, so let's talk about Williams, shall we? Alex Albon, P8 in the end. Logan Sargent, P11. And, mate, I'm a happy boy. I'm a happy Albon fan. Top 3 in every single session in free practice. Which, obviously, that wasn't fully representative of pace. But in the race, it wasn't like Alex was holding up a massive train, as far as I remember seeing anyway. Hello, Sav. Good to see you, mate. And obviously got that move done on science. Saw Perez, pressure and science opened up the door somewhat, and Alex took it into Cops, wasn't it? I think. And more points on the board for Alex. P7, P8. 2 races on the bounce now, and Logan P11 lapping within about a tenth all race, according to Valsey anyway, of Alex. So Logan. You got to remember that Logan and Oscar, they came up through the ranks together. They went toe to toe in Formula 3. Then their careers went a bit different trajectories, mainly down to finance. Logan is a very, very talented young man, and I think Williams is the right place for him to be. Williams is definitely the right place for him to be, and they seem to be like the cars, getting into Q3 pretty regular now, at least in the hands of Alex. And you look at your Alfa Romeos, your Alfa Tauris, your Haas, your Haas to get into Q3 every now and then, fair enough. But the infrastructure is the thing, isn't it? That's the question. James has talked about this on multiple podcasts, and that the infrastructure issue that they have, because there is, I didn't actually realise until we started talking about it, that there is something in the cost cap around capital expenditure, which is your facilities and all that it's just so far behind. They've had to spend tens of millions on a system to track new parts and components because they were just doing it through email threads, which is madness that an F1 team is tracking components through email threads. Like, are you crazy? That's, like, even those kind of things like that, that's all going to have an effect on how much they can use this ATR time. We talk about sliding scale. Red Bull 63% with this penalty to the worst team getting 115%. It's all well and good having that extra time, but if you can't use that time efficiently, then you're not going to be able to get advantage from that. And that's where, even though these top teams still have a baked-in advantage, they're still going to have a baked-in advantage for a very, very long time. But that's okay. That's like... Yeah, you say that about any sport. Again, we're not looking for a spec series. We're just looking for a chance to be somewhat competitive. And I feel like Williams are showcasing, as everyone kind of goes down this, Red Bull pioneered philosophy, this standardized quickest route and the diminishing returns at the front. Red Bull are gonna be quicker than Williams until the end of this rule cycle. I'm very confident in that assertion, but I think the gap will get closer. So, yeah, it's pretty mad because, like I say, Logan's in the right place at Williams. Vowles is his approach. Again, his radio after the race to Logan was super, super encouraging, super nice. Their approach is polar opposite to the approach that AlphaTauri are taking. Red Bull, obviously, more so than with old Nick De Vries, because it's another weekend. But I've got a story. I've got to tell you lot. I'm sorry, Hannah, but I've got to tell him. So this weekend, on Saturday, and so I was there Friday. Did some bits with F1 Manager. Did the stream, mooch about, really good day. And then Saturday, I was lucky enough to get paddock access, which is crazy. Paddock Centre with Red Bull, and it was got to go around the garage. I was in the Red Bull garage during Q3. I was in the little viewing thing in the garage. Unreal, mate. It's so sick. I'm so lucky, man. It was great because I could bring Hannah as well. So I got to bring my wife to the F1 to the paddock. It was sick. But that was in Q3. During the gap between, because we were meant to be going in the garage, I think during Q2, I think it was, and then obviously Checo got knocked out. So there was a bit of, there was obviously more going on in Red Bull because all of a sudden Checo was out and all that. So we didn't end up going in there. We ended up going in there for Q3. So we went to the energy station, the Red Bull energy station that they have at the back, and we were sat in there. And the drivers, the Red Bull and the AlphaTauri drivers, when they're finished, when they're out of the session, they walk through the station. So we were sat on a table, and basically imagine, so I'm sat here, the door's like to my right there, and then Hannah sat opposite me, right? And then I see Nick De Vries walking with his trainer and not coming in. I was like, oh, it's Nick. And he comes around. And then he walks. Oh my God, this honestly, right? It's so good. So Nick walks in, and bear in mind, the poor guy has just been knocked out in Q1, half attempts to Yuki. Yuki obviously got knocked out as well. And yeah, I didn't see Yuki come through actually. That's the point. Maybe he'd already come through by the time we got there. So he's just got knocked out Q1, half a second to his teammate, right? So he's, that's not really the time, as far as I'm concerned, to be like, hi, how are you? Let's get a picture. Right, whatever. And Hannah doesn't do that, don't worry. So she's in front of me, walks behind me. And Hannah obviously catches eyes with him, and she just goes, I couldn't believe it. And in fact, obviously I couldn't really see Nick because he was in my peripheral vision, but apparently he just did an awkward smile, and she went at him she put a spell on him or something. I just think she got nervous. I think she just got nervous. Yeah, well, she cast a spell on him. That's what I. If you knew my wife, if you knew Hannah, you'd know that it's not out of the ordinary. But oh my God. And literally because there was a few of us on the table, as soon as he walked past, I was like, and the others who were sitting on the other side of the table who could see his reaction, it was just, oh my God, it was so funny. I think bless her, she just lost all what's the word, composure in the moment. So then that happened, and then a few minutes later, then Checo was coming round. So then again, because I'm facing out, so I could see. So and I was like, oh, Checo's coming round, and I was like, Hannah, he's just been knocked out in Q1 in a Red Bull, right, for the 5th time in a row, whatever it is, right, not into Q3. Just don't do that, please. That's the life. He's not going to be in any mood to have one of them. Yeah, he must have thought that, WTF, exactly. And then he walked past and she didn't do it, so it was fine. That was too good, man. It was too good. But yes, anyway, back to the pertinent point at hand. AlphaTauri, not a good race weekend for either. Yuki was pretty fuming on the radio after the race. He was like, "This is not good enough. We need to do something because this is not good enough." Which, I mean, fair enough. And yeah, De Vries, his pace was, he said it was all right, but again, you're just around at the back. And again, they've not got McLaren to beat now because McLaren are pulled ahead and they've jumped up, right? So it's making it harder for these other teams now. If there is this established top 5 teams, seemingly, then it's going to be even more difficult for these teams lower down to score even a point, you know? But yeah, they could have done a lot more with what they had, perhaps. Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, again, the De Vries approach is polar opposite to the mistake De Vries made ultimately was choosing AlphaTauri over Williams, wasn't it? Because according to everything we heard, it seems that De Vries was offered a Williams seat alongside Albon for 2023, and that's what everything seemed to suggest. Obviously, he did a great job in Monza. The team, what better way to prove I'm your guy? I'm your guy. You're not keeping Latifi anymore. You don't need that money. You can get a driver who's actually competent. Like, give me a shot. I'm sure they offered him a contract. And I think, again, look, I don't know if this is true, but I've said this theory many times before. The only way that makes sense to me is if Red Bull think, you know what, let's try nicking the AlphaTauri and then maybe see if he's a long-term number 2 to Max. He's, 5 years younger than Checo. He's Dutch as well. So he's got a kind of good relationship with Max as far as I'm aware anyway. So, maybe that's a long-term option if there's no clear and obvious. Because remember, they wanted Colton Herta in the first place, didn't they? AlphaTauri. They wanted Colton Herta in that car, and then they couldn't get the super license sorted. So, yeah, it's I don't know. It's a bit of a shame for Nick, because I just think I think things would have gone very differently if he'd gone to Williams. I think the expectation would be lower, the pressure would be lower, and I think the environment would be more conducive of success and get more out of him, because he's not a bad driver. Of course he's not. In that F2 season when George was, well, let's check, right? So 2018 Formula 2, right? That's the season that we always bang on about as being like the banging F2 season, because you had George Russell, who won the championship by, how many points is that? He won it by 68 points to Lando. And then Alex was 7 points behind Lando. And then Nick was 10 points behind Alex. So, Nick won, he won 3 races that year. He got 2 P2s and a P3. Against George, against Lando, against Alex, against these drivers. He's not a bad racing driver. His career went on a different trajectory. And I just think Williams, oh man, you look at the trajectory of Williams at the minute, they look quicker than the AlphaTauri for sure. And it's like, oh man, that's a decision that I think, he must be regretting, surely. He must be regretting. So yeah, we'll see. Mid-season swap is looking increasingly likely. So, but who will it be? Because I believe it's tomorrow that Daniel Ricciardo is doing his tyre test at Silverstone, I think. So we'll see if Ricciardo really, really impresses in the Red Bull. I don't know. We'll see. Lawson and Ricciardo. It's going to be one of them, isn't it? Surely. Surely. I think it would be too soon to try Iwasa out. Obviously, if they went outside of their pool, but I think Ricciardo. If Red Bull can get Ricciardo back into one of their cars, and the value of Ricciardo to the brand, to the marketing side of things, is so high, and the potential, if they can get a top tier Ricciardo, performance wise, is phenomenal. At his best, he's one of the best out there. It's hard to now guarantee that since his McLaren stint, but I think he'd be really good. Alfa Romeo, wow, once again, very, very little to say. Valtteri Bottas ran out of fuel in quali, started from the back, made up a lot of places. P12 in the end. There were 3 cars ahead of him retiring, so that does account for some of that. Joe seemed to have some kind of issues as well. Classic Alfa Romeo race. You're not wrong, Fabio. Next. Haas. Oh, God. K-Mag's car blew up. Hulkenberg lost a bit of his front wing. It was a bit unlucky contact with Checo, wasn't it? His front wing end plate came off. The paper mache front wing end plates on that Haas. Couldn't stand it. Also, he had a contact from behind, I think, didn't he? With De Vries, was it? I think so. I think might have just about caught him on the rear. Whose fault? David. I don't know, man. It's one of them that like that front wing end plate damage. Him and Perez. It's one of them that it's just. I don't really think it's anyone's fault. It's such fine margins, and there's just a slight misinterpretation on both sides. I think both thought they had a bit more space than they did, and these things happen. Like it's difficult. It's difficult. Ferrari component issue. Yeah, I've not actually seen chat. What's the Has anyone clarified from Haas what exactly the issue was? Does Hulk deserve a better seat in F1? I mean, Haas just need to pull their fingers out because it's frustrating. It must be frustrating for the drivers because you've got all this quali pace because they've clearly got one lap pace. Like you've got this potential, but this isn't time attack. It's Formula One. Like it's not about one lap. It's about the race pace. And Mercedes, might have had but their race pace was very good, the Mercs, and they came through. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that it caught fire very much tells you it's probably a big PU issue. But Haas is the only team to not make a big name signing. Is it time? Nah. Hulkenberg's that guy. Like Hulkenberg's quality. Nah, they're fine in terms of driver lineup. I just think it's they don't quite still have that momentum to carry things through. I don't know. Maybe they've already scratched off this season. I don't know. I mean, look, they're still. I guess they can rely on their good one lap pace to maybe get points in the sprints. I think maybe that is. I didn't fart, by the way. I just did that with my finger. I wasn't sure if the mic picked it up, but it sounded like a fart. Yeah, because Hulk is like making K-Mag look a bit average, and I mean K-Mag kind of made Schumacher look a bit average. So that says a lot about Hulkenberg because I don't think Schumacher's a bad driver. I think Hulkenberg's just very, very good. But I think that I just think it's a frustrating. It must be so frustrating for the drivers. But I think sprint race points is probably their best hope, really, because they can't hold on for a full race distance. But if they can have a really strong qualifying in a sprint, make the most of those opportunities, because there's still 5? No, there's still 4 sprints to go because we've had Baku and we've had Austria. 4 sprints to go. I think that's their best shot. That is their best shot. Alpine, again, Ocon, car issue. Not sure what it was. Let me know, chat, if you know what it was. Gasly was running okay. Again, Alpine under-delivering relative to, again, now Aston Martin and McLaren have passed them. This is a manufacturer, and it's not a good look. It's a hydraulic leak. There you go. Hydraulic issue of some kind for Esteban. Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit of an Alpine believer. I've been guilty of being a bit of an Alpine believer, and I just continue to be disappointed by Alpine. It's a shame. It's a shame, truly, because I think Esteban and Pierre are very good drivers, and I think they deserve a little bit more. I knew Alpine were unserious when they let Piastri go. Yeah, I mean, again, like, given the performance, look, I know Otmar, didn't he put out some copium being like, we got a better driver lineup now anyway, which I'm like, well, I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe that, Mr. Safnauer. I'm pretty sure you would have preferred Piastri. But nevertheless, they've still got a great driver lineup. They've still got manufacturer support. They've got this money coming in now from, that 200 million injection from the Wrexham boys, Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds. So, that cash injection is gonna help somewhat. But yeah, it's not a good. It wasn't a good look, was it? And it certainly hasn't followed up. Right. Before we get on to the next team, it's about to hit 1 o'clock, and at 1 o'clock is the time that I actually announce something very exciting, and I thought I'd do it here on stream. I'm doing it at bang on 1 o'clock because it's not just me, but it's me and one other person. Any thoughts? Oh, it's just hit 1 o'clock. Right. So I've just posted something on Twitter. I've also just posted something on YouTube Community. And now I'm going to show you another little cutaway video.
It's again, the Aldas and Tommo live show is back.
Yes, absolutely. In February this year, we did our first ever live event, and it seemed to go down a treat. Everyone seemed to enjoy it, so we're doing it again, bigger and better.
Double the tickets, a brand new venue, and also some mystery content creators will be coming as well, plus the quiz is back.
Save the date, Friday the 4th of August, 6 p.m. till late at Factory 15 in Barking, just a 5-minute walk from Barking Station. £35 a ticket. Of course, there is a bar on location, plus you'll get 1 free drinks token on entry.
We will have a pizza van on site making fresh sourdough pizza, which is going to be delicious, although you will have to pay for that yourself because we need to make a bit of money.
Yeah, we didn't make any money on the last one, so.
Tickets will go on sale Wednesday, the 12th of July, 9 a.m. on the dot.
Keep an eye on our socials so you don't miss out. 18 plus only, maximum 4 tickets you can buy per person as well.
Thank you so much, as always, for your support, and we can't wait to see you there.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
No mic. There we go. There we go. Aldas and Tommo Live 2. Back again. We did the first show in February this year, and it went really well. I don't know if any of you in chat were there. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't. But yes, live show number 2, back again, and Friday 4th of August evening. No Monday evening this time. We're doing it Friday evening, so people can stay a bit later. You've not got work tomorrow. You know what I mean? Tickets go on sale on Wednesday, 12th of July, 9 a.m. British time, BST, 9 a.m. British time, and bigger and better, more tickets, bigger venue. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. And it went really well first time. It went really, really well first time. Everyone seemed to enjoy themselves. It was, it was good vibes. Good vibes. So check it out if you're interested. Keep an eye on my socials. I've put a link to my website where the tickets are right now. They're not live. The tickets will go live at that time. But if you're interested, then come along. It'd be good to see you. Right. Perfect. 18 plus because alcohol. Okay. Alcohol is consumable bar. It's just much easier. 18 plus. Right. There you go. Right. Cool. Anyway, back to the stream. That's the wrong overlay. We've got to go back to all teams, and we've talked about Alpine already. Now let's talk about Ferrari. Grazie ragazzi. Wow, okay. Ferrari. Well, Ferrari. Ferrari. Man, it feels like they've just Charles and Carlos have just had enough. Doesn't it? It just feels like they've had enough. It's I don't know what to say about Ferrari anymore, man. Like, they did get unlucky. I think that's important to say. I don't think they helped themselves as a team. And I think just the mood generally at the minute and the way they're managing Charles and Carlos. I mean, they're not even in a title fight, right? And there's still this butting of heads. And I don't know. I mean, what is it? That was quite funny when Carlos forgot what Plan B was. It's like the whole point of giving it letters and numbers or whatever is that you don't tell the world what your plan is. And Carlos is like, oh, I forgot. Sorry. Is that checked out? He's just like, oh, I just don't know. I can't remember. Could you put it on my dash so I don't have to read it out to the world? Yeah, it's is what it is. But yeah, Ferrari, I mean, I don't... There's been a few... I don't know if you've seen it. It's been reported apparently in Italian media that they're thinking about Albon as a replacement for Sainz as a long term, because you've obviously got... Sainz has his links with Audi, doesn't he? Like through his dad a lot. And obviously Alex is driving very well at the minute. Alex is a boyhood Ferrari fan. I mean, you know, everyone's a Ferrari fan, right? I don't know. It's rumours from Italian media, right? Take that for what you want to take that. This is a poll question. If Ferrari approached at Alex to drive for them in 2020, it'd be that 2025. Should he go? Because I mean, it's not. The reports are linking him from 25. That Vasseurs thinking about it for 25. And then like anticipating a Sainz move to maybe Audi, to then for him to kind of lead up Audi. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, if Ferrari, like right now, reached out to you're Alex Albon, right? You are Alex Albon right now. You are Alex, and you're doing well at Williams and all that. It's good vibes. Historic team, which Ferrari is also a historic team, but so is Williams. And Ferrari, Fred Vasseur knocked on your door. Alex, let me in. It's not a terrible Fred Vasseur impression. And then, would you open the door or would you leave him outside? Even if it's raining. Would you let him in, or would you, no, Fred, not interested. Go back to Maranello. I'm staying at home. Right? What would you do? It wasn't terrible, Luke. Oh, come on. Be nice. If Ferrari approached Alex to drive for them in 2025, should he go? 59% of you saying yes. You know, I don't know. I don't know if he could say no. I don't think he could say no, because, I mean, it's well documented that Alex is a literally like boyhood Ferrari fan. There's like he's shared pictures of him when he was younger, like in full red. Like that's what. If they offered him that seat, I don't think he could say no. Even though, like logically, I think Williams makes more sense. But then ultimately, is Williams going to give him a shot at a title? Is Ferrari more likely to give him a shot at a title? But then alongside Charles Leclerc, is Charles Leclerc going to be number one? But then Ferrari have also not necessarily demonstrated, to me at least, anyway, that they are all in on Charles. Certainly not in the same way that they're all in, Red Bull all in on Max, right? You got to say that, like, as much as Charles is Ferrari's, poster boy in that, like, I think that there's not that same level of priority that he's given. I think Carlos has forced that almost, that he's given a lot of priority and he's taken things into his own hands. I mean, Silverstone last year, Sainz wins that race because he makes his own call and doesn't so much listen to the team. So you're saying 60-40, and I'm inclined to agree with the 60. I don't know, man. But then Vowles is so good, and it feels like, but then Williams is so behind on infrastructure. But then Charles and Alex would be such a good little combo. I mean, they were teammates back in F2, I think. I think it was first year F2, maybe F3. I can't actually remember. I think it was him and... I'm sure it was him and De Vries and Leclerc have all been teammates at one stage. Behrman and Albon would be Ferrari vibes. Oh, it would, wouldn't it? No, two almost Essex boys as well. Because Alex is from just above Essex and Behrman's from Essex, so that would be the Essex, the Southeast England takeover of Ferrari. I'm here for it. Yeah, no, tricky one, but yeah, Ferrari, not good. Mercedes. Mercedes. It's okay. I mean, again, look, Lewis, luck presented itself to him and he took it and he got the podium, so fair play. It was good vibes, 2 British drivers on the podium at the British Grand Prix. That's always going to be good vibes. And yeah, Russell not getting past Leclerc early on, kind of, who knows how Russell might have been able to reel Piastri in if it had passed Leclerc. I mean, that certainly helped. That certainly helped Oscar. Leclerc holding him up for so long. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a good performance. I mean, better than the Ferraris, better than the Aston Martins. Like, still slower than customer team this weekend in McLaren. Yeah, but it's okay. I think Mercedes will be all right. I still think they're right up there in terms of challenges. You've got to think Aston Martin should be, in theory, right? Because they've got all this ATR from the first half of this year. They've got a team that's used to working under these financial restraints in terms of the personnel who have been there since the Force India days. But then again, also you've got... Yeah, I guess that's why, because Mercedes it's used to a more bloated structure. And it's had to refine things down, as have Red Bull. But then Red Bull have taken to it like a duck to water. So, yeah, I think Mercedes is consistent. You're right, Nizam. Mercedes is very consistent. So, yeah, we'll see. We will see. Aston Martin. Not good. Seem to have somewhat fallen off. Again, I'm not sure if they've fallen behind car development-wise. No, it wasn't that long ago Fernando was saying, well, we won't be off the podium again this season. And P7 this race, Lance down in P11 before his penalty. Yeah, I've still got faith in Aston Martin long term. I just think they've fallen a little bit behind, and maybe the tracks aren't fully suited to them. But they're in a good place with Alonso. At the end of the day, they're not such a good place with Lance, but unfortunately, that's a bit of a theme. A rough patch, I think, is a good way of putting it. Matsunochi, I think that's a good way of putting it. I'd be surprised if, come Hungary, they are that far off relative. I don't know, it's difficult because obviously now McLaren have jumped up. That's one more team that now Aston Martin have to worry about, genuinely, like race pace and quality pace. They have to now be concerned about not just Ferrari and Mercedes, but now also McLaren. So it's the same for all of these teams. Like it's all relative at the end of the day, and different tracks. I mean, Hungary's sometimes really hot that kind of time of year. Sometimes it's not. Like, we'll see. I think that the track dependency of these cars is really being showcased now. I think as these cars get closer together, and again, I think this midfield to basically everyone apart from Red Bull, that is at such a point now that we're really seeing, because the overall performance is so close, we're really seeing these differences like magnified track to track. Because in the past, if you're half a second ahead at one track, well, okay, at a weaker track, you might still be 0.3 ahead. Whereas now, if you're a tenth ahead, but then at another track, you're a tenth behind, and it's still a 0.2. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that is going to expose those weaknesses a bit more. Q2 is do or die for most teams now. Yeah, truly. I mean, that's the thing. Any of those teams, like McLaren, Aston, Ferrari, Mercedes, they're all potentially going out in Q2s now. You got Aston, you got Albon and Hulkenberg doing great jobs in their cars and getting them into Q3 sometimes. So it's it's mad. And that's the thing, Red Bull speed, they're just quick everywhere. That's the thing. Like, McLaren's still weak in slow speed. Mercedes struggle on traction. Like, Red Bull is just really good all round. Really good all round. Doesn't matter where you go, that car's bringing performance, and that's the difference, right? That's what wins you titles. So it's all well and good being quick at one Grand Prix, but are you quick over 22, 23, 24? And that's where Red Bull are doing bits. So, yeah, I think, again, unfortunately, we do kind of have to talk a bit about Checo in... This can't keep happening. You know the whole, like, Bottas at Mercedes as the number 2 driver to Lewis didn't reach Q3. He always reached Q3 every single time for the however many years he was there. I think that ultimately, like, I think a lot of these instances has been like poor decision making from Checo. I think the team obviously have to take some culpability in terms of like when he went out, right? But I think that, again, Monaco pushing that hard in Q1 and binning it in a Red Bull when you know you've got the best car, you know you've got a car advantage. In Q1, you don't need to take those risks, and he did. Maybe he was cited by, I think it was an Alpine coming out of the pits, wasn't it? But even so, right? Pick your time. And then Austria was exactly the same. You had time in hand, had like 4/10 in hand, extended on the final corner needlessly. This one is a bit more tricky because obviously the conditions were a bit weird. You had the yellow flag. You had incidents on track that did mess with the order a bit, and then kind of Checo got caught out and he missed out by, what was it, like a couple of hundredths or something. And the thing is, like I've said this, right? If Checo has a good qualifying, which, the start of the season, first 4 or 5 races, right, excluding Australia, because again, he had his probably looked like car issue in Australia, which messed up his qualifying. He was ahead of the next non-Red Bull by more than 20 seconds. Four of the first 5 rounds, which is like a whole pit stop. Which to me, if you win by a pit stop, that is a pretty dominant victory, right? If you're going to use the word dominant, because that gets thrown around a lot, right? Domination. And I think that, when he's got the pace, so if he can even qualify like 4th or 5th, he would probably make his way through and finish second. But it's just getting knocked out in Q1 and Q2 puts you like, 15th, 14th, 13th, 12th, 11th, that kind of range. And then there's a lot more work to do. And again, it's diminishing returns. It's going to be harder and harder the higher you get up to pass these cars because the cars are getting quicker that you're encountering. So, look, I think that Checo will... Checo's definitely going to get to the end of the season. I think right now it's not a massive issue, him being as far off as it is, because, Max would be leading the constructors on his own. With the points that Checo has got as well, that's a massive lead in constructors. And Max is clear, no real challenge from Checo from a driver's championship point of view. It's not a problem now. And I think that context, saves face for Checo. That context is important, right? But I do think maybe going into next year, you're going to give Daniel Ricciardo this tyre test and maybe put him in an AlphaTauri. I think Yuki... It's hard for Yuki to really showcase... Like, he's done a great job in that AlphaTauri, all in all, right? All he can do is keep beating Nick de Vries, and he does keep beating Nick de Vries. But I think while AlphaTauri aren't giving him that platform, it's hard for Red Bull to have the confidence to be like, Yuki, you're ready. Because I don't think Yuki's ready, personally. His pace is pretty close, but I don't think he's ready as a full package. So, I think that circumstance helps Checo a bit. It really, for me, it's like the only way Checo gets replaced for 2024 is if Ricciardo really impresses in this tyre test, they give him the AlphaTauri seat, and he really impresses in the AlphaTauri. If that all happens, I think Checo is in danger. But we'll see. Because I think, again, next year, right? Say 2024. And again, look, I have faith. I'm not being funny, right? I'm looking at this convergence. I'm looking at the McLaren jump up. I'm looking at the gap between, again, exclude Max in the Red Bull specifically for a minute. I'm looking at that convergence, right? Max is exceptional and he's in the quickest car. So I'm not shocked that he's, comfortably winning most races. But the extent of that gap just isn't what we've seen in the past, and it is getting closer. So I do believe that by next season, maybe Red Bull will have the edge at the start of the year. But I think by mid-season next year, I think this time next year, I think we're going to have a fantastic scrap. I'm really confident of that. And then, again, Checo's weaknesses might start to get exploited a bit more, right? Because then you've got Lewis potentially in a competitive Mercedes, and Lando in a competitive McLaren, and Charles in a competitive Ferrari, and Fernando in a competitive Aston. Like, even that alone, without considering maybe Alfa Romeo jump. I mean, it's not going to be Alfa Romeo, is it? Let's be honest. Maybe Sorry. Maybe Williams, they're moving in good direction. Like, maybe these other teams like start to challenge and then it becomes more of an issue. But for now, for now it's fine. For now it's fine. Russell not even. I only picked one driver from each car, and I do think Lewis is still over George. In terms of ability and full package. I would still pick Lewis over George right now. And yeah, Red Bull do have upgrades coming as well. By the way, they might have reduced ATR. They still have 63% ATR, which is more than 0. So, for a man with full essence. I'm sorry, Alpha. Just stop being bad. Yeah, I really like Audi. I'm a huge Audi fan, actually. Audi's one of my favourite car brands. So once Audi take over, I'll be much more forgiving, and I'll give much more bias towards that team. But there you go. Right, cool. I think we are done. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching, listening, wherever you are in the world. Again, live show, me and Aldas, 4th of August. Tickets go on sale Wednesday, so in 2 days' time, at 9 AM BST. So there is a link on my YouTube community, and there is a link on Twitter. And yeah, if you want to come, if you can make it, we'll see you there. But oh yeah, Audi F1 merch is gonna bang. It's gonna bang. It's gonna be so good. But yeah, intro's rolling again for some reason. Thank you again for watching. Subscribe to the channel. I'm so close to 300k now as well. It's mad. The Lando Oscar video is doing really well. It's starting to pick up now, which is good, and that's helping subscriber push. Once I get to 300k, I'm happy. I'll stop pushing subscribers. Nice round number. Yeah, that'd be nice. Thank you, Matthew, as well for the 10 Aussie, mate. Appreciate it. Legend. You are the legend, Matthew. You are the legend. Thank you again for watching. And I'm actually filming a really exciting video tomorrow as well. This July is hectic, but tomorrow is a really cool video. And yeah, it is involving official F1 team personnel, not drivers. But don't worry. It's still very cool. I can't set that standard every video. I'm not going to have real F1 drivers in every single video. So make sure you go and watch my video with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri and give it a like and give it a comment. And because getting those kind of opportunities, honestly, it means the world to me, and it wouldn't happen without your support and all of you watching and enabling me to do this. It's honestly I'm so lucky, man. I really am. But yeah, thank you all. Appreciate it. Minton's not about, I'm afraid. So, sorry. He's asleep, and I'm going to wrap this up. Cheers, everyone. Stay safe, be well, be happy. Drink water. Stay hydrated. Be good. Be nice. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.